Welcome to the 2023 ASSERT pitch event. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Donna Llewellyn, the ASSERT co-director and the executive director of the ASSERT program's home, the Institute for Inclusive and Transformative Scholarship, known as IFITS, which you're all gonna have to help me. IFITS, UFITS, we all fits. Thank you. And we are so glad that you're all here with us. Before we dive into our program, I'd like to honor the Boise Valley people. The original inhabitants are from the Burns Paiute, Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, the Fort McDermott Paiute, the Shoshone Paiute, and the Shoshone Bannock. It is upon their traditional and customary lands that some of us reside and call home, and the home of our Boise State campus. I'm now going to hand it off to our Provost, Dr. John Buckwalter, and then our Vice President for Research and Economic Development, Dr. Nancy Glenn, to more officially welcome you. John.
Well, thank you. I am extremely excited to be here. This is one of the events I always look forward to. See the diversity of projects that we have going on from all the various colleges at the university. ASSERT is one of those unique opportunities that faculty really should, I'd like to see all faculties seek out to facilitate their growth as researchers. And hopefully during your time in this program, you've been able to germinate all sorts of new research ideas that will help advance your aspirations and those aspirations of the institution. I want to commend each of you for taking advantage of this unique opportunity. It really is the goal of academic affairs to help faculty integrate their scholarship into their teaching and vice versa, and we know that ASSERT is one of the ways that that can happen. I also recognize that you have a lot of competing interests for your times, both personal and professional, and the fact that you were willing to take the time to participate in ASSERT, I would just like to commend you for that. So while this opportunity will likely help expand your research and your teaching in exciting ways, I think there's another benefit that can't be underestimated, and I hope you realize it. And that is an opportunity to actually develop personal relationships with your peers. Your professional relationships with your colleagues will serve you throughout the rest of your professional career. I know that that has been my case when I participated in these types of programs. I've made connections with lifelong colleagues that to this day I still contact. So don't underestimate that part of this program. Many of you know this, but some of you may not. My background is cardiovascular physiology, and I spent the largest part of my career at a medical school working as a basic scientist, basically trying to understand how blood flow is controlled in the body. And so I know how difficult it can be to set a research project in motion, and at times it can be daunting. You're treading new ground. You're doing things that nobody has done before, and it can be particularly frustrating. Maybe you didn't experience this, but I used to be able to come up with all sorts of brilliant hypotheses that would be, completely crippled by the fact that I would actually collect some data to see how accurate they are. And so that can be frustrating too, so I understand that part of a research. And so sometimes people that don't really participate in research think of it as a beginning and an end to the research project, and you all know as you participate in this that good research projects usually end up creating more questions than they answer, and it's sort of a perpetual motion. And you're building on those that came before you, and those that come after you will build on the work that you've done. So with that, I'm looking forward to the program today and learning more about the incredible efforts that you've made here with ASSERT. And now I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Nancy Glenn, our Vice President for Research and Economic Development.
Luckily, this is how special you are. I wore heels today, so not very many people see me in heels. If you come into our office, which that is one of my talking points, is I want you all to come to our offices on the 3rd floor of the admin building. You'll see me walking around barefoot because I don't like wearing heels. Thanks for being here. I'm Nancy Glenn, the Vice President for Research and Economic Development, and it's always a pleasure to be part of the ASSERT retreat as well as the pitch event and hear the amazing ideas and thoughts that you have in the directions that you are taking your scholarship. I'd like to back up a little bit and thank Donna and the whole ASSERT team and IFITS. This is an incredible amount of work and a very long journey of not just all of the mental thought and effort that goes into guiding all of us on our pathway, but also just in logistics and arranging this. And I'm always just so impressed with what Donna and the IFITS team are able to do and bring together. I also would like to say that I'm continually impressed with Donna and how she keeps a pulse on the culture and the needs of not just our campus, but kind of nationally what that conversation is happening, or what the conversation is across higher ed institutions. And I think that ASSERT is a result of that keen ear to what are the needs for faculty and staff across the nation. And so I applaud Donna, and thank you very much for all of the effort. Yeah. So John stole all of my talking points, so I'll just make the rest of this very quick, and that is you ASSERT fellows, thank you so much for the hard work. As John pointed out, there are so many competing interests for your time, for everybody's time, but you've made the effort not just in terms of meeting, but in collaborating with others in your cohort. As well as the mental space, because as you think about your trajectories, you think about what got you to this afternoon or this evening, it was an incredible amount of mental work in terms of participating and thinking about where you want to go with your transformative scholarship. Transformative scholarship is hard. I think we all know that it takes a lot of time to not just think about your trajectory, but how you can connect with others around you, whether that's your students or whether that's your community partners or whether that's your program manager at an agency. And thinking about how you can bring those different important nexus points to really do exciting work. Like John said, we have lots of exciting ideas, but bringing those to fruition is really hard. So I applaud you for that. I will say that the transformative, thinking about your work in an interdisciplinary lens and thinking about it from multiple perspectives really does provide the type of work that we need to be doing. None of our challenges today can be solved by one individual person very frequently. And so coming together as a team and building those networks are really important. So I'm excited to see what you'll present today. And then I'll just leave you with an open invitation back to our offices on the third floor. It can also be virtual. I see lots of people from our division here. I know Jana has spent an incredible amount of time with you during this program, but please know that we're here to point you in a direction, to provide feedback and just be a sounding board to help you actually get to the next step, whatever it may be. So please do not hesitate to reach out and ask for the help. I think that that's something that we often don't always do, is ask for help, and please do that. And I see a lot of we have students here. I know that there's a few students here. So I think that's also a message for you to also to ask for help, and we are on the third floor and happy to be there. So welcome and thank you, and I look forward to hearing the pitches.
The short one. So first of all, thank you, John and Nancy. I really appreciate, you talk about competing interests and competing demands on time, and I really appreciate both of you taking the time to be here today and to help us celebrate the ASSERT Fellows. One of the overarching goals, as you know, of ASSERT is to lean into being a holistic scholar, crossing over the sometimes siloed areas of academics and research. So to the benefit of our students, to the university, and our other stakeholders. So I'm grateful to see both the leader of the Academic Affairs Division and the Research and Economic Development Division here together supporting this program. I want to make a few remarks about the ASSERT program. Some of you know it was initiated through 2 National Science Foundation grants, but since then it has had the support of many on campus, including the College of Innovation and Design, the Office of the Provost, the Division of Research and Economic Development, and the College of Arts and Sciences. Going forward, all of the deans of the university have pledged their support for the program so that we can continue to have ASSERT cohorts into the future. And so I really want to recognize, if you would stand up or wave, if you have been a supporter or have pledged future support of the program, so that you can all be recognized, please. Thank you. You know, we use the acronym ASSERT. I get accused sometimes of using acronyms a bit too much. So often its meaning gets lost and hidden from view. So I want to do a reminder of what ASSERT stands for and why we chose that acronym. It stands for Aligning Stakeholders and Structures to Enable Research Transformation. Taking that apart, who are our stakeholders? Of course, it includes the faculty who do amazing research and scholarship, but that's not all. It includes all of you, both on campus and off campus, our community and beyond. All of the people who our faculty collaborate with, interact with, and impact. What are our structures? There are internal structures, promotion and tenure, purchasing, sponsored projects, legal counsel, departmental leadership, and university administration, among some. But it also goes beyond that to the structures in which our university operates, both within the state and across the nation. Alignment. All of these stakeholders and structures need to be aligned so that our faculty can actually do their amazing work, so that they can actually concentrate their creative energy on solving problems that are so important to be solved, rather than fighting with processes and structures. And then to what end? To enable transformative research. Today, you'll hear a sampling of the amazing types of research and types of impact our faculty are having, from education to the environment, from healthcare to literature. ASSERT is across all disciplines because there is no limit to where impact can happen. Now, the group that you'll hear from today is our 7th cohort of ASSERT faculty. Starting with the first cohort of 11 faculty back in 2016, we now have what we call an assertive community of 92 faculty who have participated in this program. We have an expression, once a fellow, always a fellow. So if you're in the audience and you were in one of the earlier cohorts, please stand up, wave, be recognized, because you're still part of the ASSERT community. By the way, applications are open for the next cohort. There are flyers on your tables. Please welcome, if you're a faculty and have not participated, if you have colleagues, we encourage faculty of any rank and any discipline to join this community. Now, I'd like to give some appreciation before we begin with the pitches. I like to say that through the last, it keeps on growing, 3.5 years, it has taught me that the need to publicly state my gratitude to the people around me who help us do this work. So first, to you, our audience. You're all busy. You've taken the time to be here. We are so grateful for your presence and that you're willing to attend, to lean in and listen, and to help our faculty move their ideas forward. This past year, Kevin Feris and Mariana de Graaf, Kevin, the director of the School of the Environment and professor in biology, and Mariana, professor in biology and associate dean in the College of Arts and Sciences, became the co-directors of ASSERT. Stand up, because I'm talking and you're not right now. I want to thank you for your wonderful partnership and for bringing fresh eyes to the program and a lot of laughs, Kevin. Also, a huge thank you. You can sit down. A huge thank you to Erica Bondi, who is outside. She's our new IFITS project and program coordinator, and she stepped in, she's fairly new, and handled all the logistical planning for today. Thank you, Erica. Thank you to Jana LaRosa, as Nancy mentioned, from the Division of Research and Economic Development. She has partnered with us all the way along and especially helped our faculty get ready for today. So thank you, Jana. And then I'll add my gratitude to two colleagues who are no longer directly involved in ASSERT anymore, but I still need to mention their names. Some of you know that the co-founder of ASSERT, my dear colleague, Dr. Will Hughes, left Boise last year and a bit to lead the engineering program at UBC Okanagan. He stays, his heart is still in ASSERT. He's trying to get me to go up there and start an ASSERT program up there. And this past August, Megan Gams, and she's here. Where are you, Megan? I lost you. There you are. Moved over from IFITS to COAS, lucky COAS. But Megan, you have been so amazingly helpful and critical to ASSERT and to me. And so thank you for helping to model having joy in our work and gratitude in our colleagues. Thank you. So, as I mentioned earlier, once a fellow, always a fellow, and that goes for those two wonderful people as well. Okay, just a few more words of gratitude. To our faculty fellows. For the third year, we've worked primarily via Zoom with our cohort. The cohort still work together amazingly well, just like any other year's cohort, with individual meetings, bi-weekly seminar, workshops, and a retreat in Zoomland, followed by a retreat in Ketchum, which I think was much nicer than the retreat in Zoomland. I need to thank you all for leaning in, creating a strong community in spite of our lack of regular in-person meetings. I know that all of you have had different struggles and challenges over the past year, and yet you stuck with us and with each other. You continued to show up, making it a priority, and here you are today where you're going to rock it. Thank you seems to be an inadequate phrase, but thank you. Okay, so we are excited that we are back in person. Yay. I think some of our earlier fellows who are here who said they got off easy by doing this in Zoom, that they didn't have to come up here and stand at a podium. But I ask that all of you listening do so with grace. Listen with both your ears and your hearts as our faculty talk about big ideas that they want to move forward in coming year and beyond. I think you'll all learn how central our students and broader community are to our faculty. And how they wish to strengthen our educational systems, health systems, environmental systems, the application and the impact of their work on the whole state. So, last few words about the word pitch, because it always confuses some people, right? We use the word pitch to describe what our faculty were asked to prepare, but we're not talking about a venture capital type of pitch. There'll be no asking for money, don't worry. It's rather they're pitching a story. They're asking you to lean in and see how you can help these faculty move their great ideas forward. I think they're hungry to hear your perspectives and to eliminate their blind spots, to open their networks to new and different avenues. So how will this work? As soon as I get off the stage, each faculty will talk for about 3 minutes. After the last talk, there are 12. We'll take a few minutes if people have general questions, questions from curiosity rather than critique. After that, there will be time to mingle over food and drink and talk individually with the faculty and with each other when you can really poke in and find out more details. Okay, I'm going to sit down so we can get started.
Okay, can y'all hear me? Oh, but will this stay? Maybe. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. How do we protect something before it's gone? How do we protect something before it's gone? I'm an avian biologist, and I think about this question all the time, especially when it comes to birds. And that's because birds are amazing. They are literally living dinosaurs that are found on every continent of this planet. They can move in incredible ways, including the ability of most to fly. As poet Drew Landman once said, birds are the thread that stitch the world together. They give us a sense of connection and wonder and home. Unfortunately, most birds around the world are in decline due to global change brought about by humans. This includes birds like the Columbian sharp-tailed grouse, which is a subspecies found here in Idaho. In my honest opinion, I think Columbian sharp-tailed grouse are the coolest birds in the state. They are feisty and bright. Males, like the one I depicted here, they dance and they fight with one another to attract females, creating a rich soundscape in the spring. And in the fall, these birds are an important part of Idaho's hunting legacy. Unfortunately, Columbian sharp-tailed grouse have experienced a 95% range-wide decline, and few researchers are working to understand them in a changing world. How do we protect something before it's gone? And how do we do so when we know so little about their history, their distributions, and which populations are most at risk? The story of birds, including their ability to adapt to a changing planet, is written into their DNA. My lab group uses genetic tools to tap into this story. The grand vision of my research program is to co-develop projects along with practitioners so we could better understand and manage birds in a changing world. There are 3 types of genetic approaches that our lab group uses. First, by taking samples from the birds themselves, we can sequence their entire genetic code. With that information, we can understand which populations have low diversity, are most at risk for local extinction, and we can use that information to inform conservation prioritization. Using that same DNA, we can understand which populations are more distantly or closely related to inform how we move birds throughout the landscape to bolster dwindling populations. And finally, and most oddly, we have been collecting hundreds of poop samples of these birds from across their range, and using genetic analyses, we can understand their diet. This is important because when it comes to conservation and restoration, we can plant the foods these birds are eating to keep them around. The time for the work is now. These birds have already been extirpated from several states, and more information can be used for proactive management. Because at the end of the day, how do we protect something before it's gone? The answer is simple. We get to know it better. And I'm so excited for our program to take flight. Thank you.
I'm short. Let's see if we can get this right. Okay, my name is Candace Reynolds, and I have the pleasure of serving as the director of University Foundations, which is our general education program. I am also a professor of psychological sciences here at Boise State. I want to talk to you about teaching for skills that matter. So students come to Boise State because they have a dream to learn about what makes the world tick, a dream to fix climate change or racial inequity, a dream to become a successful engineer, a dream to meet the love of their life. Some actually don't know what they really want, but hope that a college education will point them in the right direction. Whether they know it or not, they are looking to develop durable skills. The development of durable skills in college starts in general education courses. And this is one reason why it is so important to a student's success. Durable skills are skills that they use in college and beyond. Things like communication skills, critical thinking, resilience, a growth mindset. You'll see the trunk of the tree here, and that trunk feeds and helps a tree flourish. Semi-durable skills are the branches of the trees, and these are certainly important to our growth and development also. These are the things that our students often learn in their majors, skills that are necessary but will change over time. The leaves are the perishable skills. Those are skills that actually may get a student their first job. You know, they know how to do something, but that will change, something like a particular software program. So I just want to give an example. As a psychologist, the things I learned in graduate school may or may not be relevant to practicing as a psychologist right now. And I need the durable skills that I developed in my undergraduate education to propel me to continue to learn those semi-durable skills and perishable skills that I need to continue to be successful. Sadly, sometimes our general education courses don't focus enough on building these skills. Instead, students encounter a list of courses that they have to take. These courses may or may not help students see the connection to the durable skills they are learning. In fact, students may be exposed to great content, always exposed to great content, I think, but never get the chance to learn and practice durable skills directly. So we need to do two things. We need to help students recognize what they are learning in these courses and that they matter for their future. We also need to make sure to engage in practices that help them directly learn and develop these durable skills. University Foundation's Boise State's General Education Program wants to transform a student's experience of general education. To do that, however, faculty need to transform their teaching, providing students explicit opportunities to start building these skills. My project focuses on helping departments and faculty transform the courses that they contribute to the general education curriculum using the framework Know, Do, and Become to promote the development of durable skills. Through collaborative work with the Faculty Senate General Education Committee, we are developing strategies to change these courses from the inside out. This is a cultural shift. We are not just teaching an introduction to blank and hoping that they magically come out liberally educated. We are responsible for educating the citizens of Idaho. We need to adjust our practices and focus to help them achieve their dreams. And I would be happy to share more about the progress we are making to transform general education at Boise State University. 3 minutes is not enough.
This should be good. Yep, it's good. Hi, my name is Chijin Den, and I'm from the Department of Literacy, Language, and Culture, and my topic is developing word learning skills for English learners. I'll begin my talk with a word, photosynthesis, which is a word that will show up in 4th grade reading text. I'm going to invite you to help me break it down into 2 meaningful word parts. Yes, photo, that means light. Synthesis, that means put together. With this knowledge, if we see words that share similar word parts in the future, for example, photograph, photogenic, psychosynthesis, you can get an idea. These words have something to do with light or put together. This technique is called word part clue, and it is one of the many strategies that's used by monolingual English native speakers to learn new vocabulary during wide reading. And in fact, through these strategies, they learn a few thousand words a year. And in the classroom, however, only a few hundred words are taught directly by the teacher. And for English language learners, by definition, they have a much smaller vocabulary size. However, the problem with them is when they are reading, the cognitive load prevents them from developing and using these skills, these vocabulary learning skills. And direct instruction that in the classroom is limited by the time that's available, and also it doesn't provide enough support for them to develop these skills. And so one solution or one way to maximize English language learners' word learning is to equip them, to teach them these skills. For example, word part clues that I mentioned earlier, context clue, cognates. English learners with these skills can have a clearer picture or a deeper understanding of words such as photosynthesis or photograph. With better understanding of these words, they can also have an overall better comprehension of the text that these words show up in, that these words appear, such as photosynthesis. And better understanding, better comprehension also serves as a motivating factor that engage them to read more and to build more vocabulary. And so this iterative cycle itself can be remarkable. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Raisa Miller, and I am part of the College of Education, Department of Counselor Education. The famous Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." As humans, we seek to make meaning of our lives, to make sense of our experiences. We tell ourselves stories about our struggles, and those stories influence how we think, feel, and behave. Imagine a 20-year-old college student whose romantic relationship just ended. He recounts how he lost his mind in an argument and shares with a sense of shame that there is something wrong with him because he cannot control himself. The story he tells himself is that he is faulty and that he will never be able to stay in a long-term relationship. He feels hopeless and withdraws from others. Through my practice as a mental health counselor, I have learned that having a neurobiological understanding of human functioning can positively influence individuals' view of themselves and others. I coined the term neuroeducation to describe this approach and have found through practice and research that it can help foster empathy and compassion. It can chip away at deeply rooted shame. It can offer hope for change and motivation to engage in actions that will bring about that change. It can help normalize struggles, and it can help regulate distress. Referencing back to that college student, I implemented a neuroeducation approach with him when he was stuck in self-blame related to his sense of losing control in arguments. We explored how his early trauma experiences may have impacted his brain and nervous system development, and how this awareness could help him make sense of his reactions in his present-day relationships. For the first time in our work together, he started to release some of his shame and express more curiosity about how he could shift his patterns of reactivity. Over the last decade, I have worked with other researchers to further define and operationalize the neuroeducation process. It is now time to move into intervention research to test the efficacy of neuroeducation interventions on direct client outcomes. My hope is to develop specific neuroeducation modules that offer accurate, accessible, and actionable neuroscience information within flexible protocols that can be adapted for diverse client needs. Struggles with mental health are ever increasing in our current world, and we need innovative therapeutic interventions to help individuals initiate change and movement towards greater well-being. We need approaches that help individuals ground the stories they tell themselves in objective science rather than biased, self-defeating narratives. As Marcus Aurelius noted so long ago, we need to target the judgments, and neuroeducation is one such promising approach.
I'm Amy Lapa in the Department of Biological Sciences, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about expanding undergraduate research opportunities. Around here, we're pretty familiar with the sagebrush steppe habitat. It's a place where a lot of research happens. And this top photo is a picture of me getting to know that habitat through local research as a sophomore at Boise State 20 plus years ago. At this time, I had no experience, a lot of enthusiasm, and I think that no one else applied. That summer, I learned a lot about problem solving, I gained confidence, and I felt like part of the scientific community for the first time. Boise State today has 10,000 more students than we did when I was an undergraduate, and opportunities like this are a lot more competitive. While our strategic plan aims to increase undergraduate research, many of our students are still missing this opportunity. For example, in our department, 50% of our graduating seniors report that they haven't participated in research at all. Boise State has worked hard to expand ways that we support students in research through vertically integrated projects, fellowships, and summer internships, but all of these are low enrollment, and many of our students are still missing authentic research experiences. We need to tackle this by expanding capacity by including authentic research in our upper division labs through course-based undergraduate research experiences, or CURES. CURES aim to include students in research by embedding it in courses that they're already taking, and they incorporate local ecosystems and on-campus research focuses. Literature shows that CURES are really impactful for students, and the good news is that Boise State has a lot of dedicated faculty who are already putting these in their courses. As a faculty member who attempts CURES in my class every semester, I can attest that facilitating authentic research in a course is really difficult, and we need some help. It adds extra scaffolding of learning. You need extra resources like lab supplies and transport to field sites like the sagebrush steppe, and all of this adds up to extra time. And while you're in the thick of it, it's really hard to know how to overcome some of those challenges. And so I think that a centralized hub that brings together efforts that are already on campus to support faculty doing CURES could be really transformative. A lot of times hubs start with an idea and a person, and so I propose a faculty fellow that could work through the Institute for Inclusive and Transformative Scholarship to pull together and help streamline resources from places like the Division of Research and Economic Development, the Center for Research and Creative Activity, and the Center for Teaching and Learning to support faculty. All of these offices care deeply about undergraduate research and are poised to help include funding and grants for CURES, assess how they can effectively be embedded in courses, and help streamline training for faculty. We have an opportunity to innovate how we include students in place-based research in our courses by reducing barriers for faculty who want to do so. And best of all, the students that have full-time commitments outside of class, those who would never sign up for research, or those who just can't get their foot in the door, could practice the skills that research promotes and gain confidence and identity as a scholar. But mostly, my hope is that more students, like the student from my spring mammalogy class, have photos like this and impactful learning experiences that they can put in a talk in 20 years. Thank you.
Hello, hola, namaste. My name is Vinita Sharma. I am an assistant professor in the School of Public and Population Health, and today I'm here to tell you a beautiful story. So, Olivia, she's 8 years old. She lives in Pocatello with her grandparents. Her mother is in the nearby correctional facility, and her dad is out of the picture. Olivia keeps seeing kids with cute-looking pens in the bus stop. They call it vape pens. They look so cool with their clouds. What do these feel like, and can I have one, she thinks. So she goes home to her grandma and says, Grandma, can you please buy me a vape pen? Her grandma has no idea what she's talking about. Now, let's take a step back. Although Olivia is a fictional character, her story is not. And the behavior in question goes broader than just nicotine vaping to broader substance use. According to the recent census data, around 10,806 grandparents in the state of Idaho are primarily responsible to take care of their grandchildren. However, the way that our society and the systems are structured right now, these grandparents do not possess the information or the skills to help their grandchildren prevent substance use. I want to empower children like Olivia to prevent substance use, and I want to do it by empowering the grandparents. So that in the next few years, I think what I want to do is, number one, determine what the grandparents in the state of Idaho know and don't know about how to prevent substance use among their grandchildren. Number two, I want to describe their willingness to participate in interventions aimed at preventing substance use for their grandchildren. So eventually, let's say in about 10 years or so, I want to scale up this intervention in the entire state of Idaho. Well, but why now, you might think? Well, that's because the problem of substance use keeps increasing in the state of Idaho. We have more and more young people who are now using substances who should have been prevented from that trajectory. And it is now time to find out creative ways to intervene in this problem and prevent substance use in the state of Idaho. And I want to be a part of the solution, and I invite all of you to join me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Courtney Holler. I'm with the College of Engineering, and today I'm going to be talking about women in engineering. So, when I think back to the time of when I was working on my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, there was one aspect of school that took some getting used to. I didn't have to get used to the fact that I would be taking a ton of math and science courses, and it didn't have to do with me staying up late finishing lab reports or studying for exams. The thing that took some getting used to was that all of a sudden there were significantly less women in my classes. Already, I was a kid that was commuting, so I wasn't living in the dorms, and that felt like everyone kind of already knew each other. And on top of that, I was shy and tended to have an easier time making friends with the girls in my classes. Luckily, there was one woman who was in all of my classes, and we instantly became friends. I was so grateful to have her because I had learned pretty early on in my college career that I did a lot better in school if I was part of a study group. So having her as a study partner gave me the confidence to begin to befriend the men in our classes. The Society of Women Engineers has written several articles discussing how women oftentimes feel a chilly type of environment when they're in their first or second year of working on their undergraduate in engineering. And so how can we foster an environment where we feel like everyone has a sense of belonging? Despite the fact that 55% of the students at Boise State are women, engineering only attracts about 17%. And this is even lower than the national average. When we look at all of the STEM-related fields, engineering has the lowest percentage of women enrolled, and it has a national average of around 22 to 24%. Unfortunately, stories like my own are far too common. When I hear similar stories from my colleagues who are a generation older than me, it surprises me that I'm experiencing the same things that they're experiencing. But it surprises me even more when I have female students walking into my office and they're asking me if it's normal that there are this few women in engineering classes. Why have things not changed for the past 3 generations? Recruitment efforts have been an ongoing thing for 40 years, yet we don't seem to be making much progress. When we look at Boise State's Engineering Plus program, approximately 40% of the students that are enrolled are women. And this raises the interesting question of, what are we doing in the Engineering Plus program to attract more women? Engineering Plus is our general engineering program, and it sets itself apart by having more flexibility with degree customization, as well as giving students opportunities to apply the skills and knowledge that they've learned so far to community-centric projects each year. Although we suspect that these are reasons as to why Engineering Plus attracts more women, we haven't yet studied it. So pursuing this research could be a step towards improving recruitment efforts and increasing the number of women in engineering. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Allison Wolf. I'm an assistant professor in the anthropology department. I'm an archaeologist, and I'm going to share how I use bones of the past to help conserve our future. Greater sage grouse are an iconic bird of the American West, but the species is also currently the subject of one of the most prominent and controversial conservation cases in North America. Their abundance and distributional range have deteriorated significantly since historic times, largely due to the loss of sagebrush communities they rely on as a result of human disturbances and further exacerbated by climate change. In response, several large-scale multi-million-dollar state and federally sponsored management plans have been implemented in recent years with mixed success. However, these plans are typically formulated using modern and historic data, records spanning only about the past 200 years or so. This is problematic because these short records do not cover a lot of environmental or climatic variation, and they're marked by extensive anthropogenic impacts. With these records, we do not have a comprehensive understanding of this species' fundamental niche, the full extent of conditions that sage grouse can tolerate. We only know the more limited conditions under which they have been living within the past 200 years or so, their realized niche. So we need longer records to determine the full range of factors that affect sage grouse populations. Luckily, such records exist in the form of paleontological and archaeological sites. I'm compiling an exhaustive regional record of greater sage grouse in the Great Basin using paleontological and archaeological data from all sites containing their remains that will push the record of sage grouse in this area back at least 13,000 years. These records will then be correlated with local paleoenvironmental records and paleoclimate models to determine what conditions allow sage grouse populations to occupy an area and what conditions push them out. Archaeological data also offer longitudinal records of human hunting of sage grouse, which reveal long-term population responses to various degrees of hunting pressure. The results will greatly expand our knowledge of the environmental, climatic, and hunting pressure tolerance of greater sage grouse, which will better enable wildlife managers to regulate the hunting of the species, which, by the way, is still allowed across most of their range, diagnose populations that will be most at risk to future climate change, and identify areas most conducive to successful translocations. Using prehistoric records to decipher what conditions best support the survival of these birds in our changing world could be key to keeping them around for millennia to come. Thank you.
I'm Sandra Miller, and I am an engineer by training. I'm here today to talk with you about what I think it takes to make a successful engineer. There's a lot of skills an engineer must have to be successful. Technical skills, like the scientific method, the design process, data analysis, which we do an exceptional job at with our students. And then there's durable skills, Candace, which I believe such as teamwork, empathy, and active listening, which I think we can do better at. I believe these skills are best honed when they are facilitated in the context of each other. Quoting Robin Williams in Patch Adams, "You treat a disease, you win, you lose. You treat a person, I guarantee you'll win every time, no matter what the outcome." If we facilitate durable skills development in the context of technical skills, then we treat the person. I believe successful engineers can be empathetic and understand others' perspectives, integrated with being credible and professional. My focus today is on one durable skill, active listening, because I believe it is the foundation of communication. Active listening is widely defined as suspending judgment and being fully present with another person to understand their experiences and points of view. It involves hearing more than their words. It taps into their deeper meaning, their unmet needs, and the feelings they convey. Active listening involves both head and heart. Our lives have become so busy and fast-paced that we listen to respond rather than listen to understand. The best and most trusted leaders, professionals, friends, and spouses know how to listen. Active listening establishes deeper connections, builds trust and rapport, supports acquiring vital information for better decision-making and problem-solving. And engineering is all about decision-making and finding innovative solutions to problems we face in society, the environment, and our economy. I've been studying, learning, and practicing in this area all my life, really, and specifically during the last 2 decades. I acquired my technical skills the same way as everyone here today. Went to an accredited college, studied at an accredited program, earned a degree. I acquired my durable skills outside of the academy, in non-accredited programs. I want to merge the paths I took and offer our engineering students something different. Part of my big idea is to create active experiential learning opportunities for engineering students that are scaffolded throughout their curricula, where they learn and begin to master durable skills. I want to start by offering a 1-credit elective open to all engineering students, building modules that would eventually be used in collaboration with others doing work just like this, campus-wide. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Jared Talley. I'm in the School of Public Service. So I'm going to start with a question. Can you imagine the unimaginable? And it may seem a silly question, and it reeks the philosophical, but luckily I practice philosophy. And I found that this question is vitally important to understand how we learn, experience, act, and collaborate, both in higher education and in our communities. Before turning back to the imagination, let's start at the beginning. We must survive before we can thrive. And for rural communities, surviving requires the next generation to take over and lead. However, many struggle to retain their brightest minds, as they're often forced to leave to pursue specialized training without a clear pathway home. In a very real sense, they are extracted from their communities. Workforce development is marshaled in response to this issue of brain drain. It's a worthy endeavor, but I contend that it narrowly focuses on skills needed in the predictable future, failing to prepare students and communities for challenges that we cannot yet imagine. We need to prepare for the unforeseeable future. The rural needs leaders, and instead they get workers. We need something more, or what I term aspirational workforce development. Here, aspirational refers to a person's disposition, not merely their skills. It means having an intimate understanding of our places and our communities, the curiosity and confidence to confront novel challenges, and the determination to lead others through change. Teaching skills is often our bread and butter, but fostering a disposition means taking seriously those fuzzy factors in our lives that sometimes get in the way. Perceived irrationality, values, beliefs, all of which can be understood through the imagination. This is where my research comes in. Our imaginations are not unlimited. They are tied to our experience and help make experience meaningful. How we imagine the places we experience provide much of this meaning, while we iteratively provide meaning to that place. This process is a bit like a story. The current scene, our current experience, is meaningful in light of past scenes, and it makes sense of future scenes. There's more to say here, but it points to the triad of imagination, experience, and place being essential to understanding the ways we learn. I've been developing these concepts out through a place-based learning model to foster this aspirational disposition. It develops imaginative capacity through a variety of mechanisms, including discomfort, the introduction and satisfaction of doubt, and the experience of place, replete with the meaning of those places. It's a dispositional learning experience deeply rooted in the places we call home, an approach that immerses us in the very fabric of our communities. I'm currently collaborating with industries, communities, students, and fellow faculty to build and test programs based on the model. Idaho needs an aspirational workforce that can anticipate, adapt, and lead rural communities through unforeseen challenges. Growing up in rural Idaho and experiencing our education systems, I understand these landscapes. These places are part of my own story and my own imagination. Practicing philosophy in these places, the institution, and my communities is its own sort of aspiration. But I imagine that it's precisely this kind of aspiration that can help secure a thriving future for rural Idaho. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Harbeck. I'm a professor of French and chair in the Department of World Languages. And today I'd like to tell you a little bit about a Haitian writer, Evelyne Trouillot, and a book project of mine involving her works. Trouillot writes in Haitian Creole, French, and English, and is published in an impressive variety of genres and styles, including poetry, essays, novels, and theater. She's published op-ed pieces in the New York Times and Le Monde, and is a professor at the State University of Haiti. Trouillot's works encourage readers to question biases and cliches often associated with Haiti. She introduces us to voices and perspectives that have long been silenced in the national and international narratives about the country and its people. Her first novel, the infamous Rosalie, published in 2003, follows Lisette, a young slave girl who was caught in the social upheaval of the 1750s that leads to the Haitian Revolution. One afternoon in fall 2006, after discussing the novel with my students in class, I returned to my office here at Boise State. You can imagine my surprise when I saw an email from Evelyne Trouillot in my inbox. It turns out that she had Googled the infamous Rosalie and had come across the abstract of a talk I was going to give at a conference later that month. She was curious about my paper and wanted to know if she could read it. Fortunately, not only did she enjoy the paper, but we struck up a friendship that resulted in my students contributing to an interview that was published in the most widely read journal in our field. With no exaggeration, Trouillot's works span the entirety of our country's history, from the colonial period of the 1700s and Haitian independence in 1804, to the American occupations, the Duvalier dictatorships, and the 2010 earthquake. I've included on my slide a poster collage that one of my students created for an assignment involving an imagined book fair. The short story depicted is about Gabriel, a young boy born and raised in Brooklyn who is forced to move to Haiti when his parents inherit an iconic gingerbread house in Port-au-Prince. I chose this collage in particular because of the arrow the student included. Trouillot's works often ask us to think differently about Haiti. The story isn't about Haitians trying to get to the United States. It's about what compels a family to leave the U.S. to return to their home country. In fact, when I wrote Trouillot just 2 weeks ago to tell her that my students were again reading the short story this semester, and to ask if, given the current situation in Haiti, which as you may know is further degraded in the last couple of months, if she could have written the story today. To my students' surprise, she replied with a categorical yes, adding that she would accentuate the need to denounce injustices in order to have a less inegalitarian society, and that Gabriel and his parents would become more conscious of their privileged status. My book project is tentatively titled History, Humanity, and the Literary Construction of Haiti. My plan is to address the near entirety of Trouillot's works, examining them not in the order of publication, but chronologically or according to the major time periods in which they are set. Interspersed throughout, I envision 3 or 4 thematic interviews with Trouillot, prepared in collaboration with my students, on topics such as the diaspora, immigration, motherhood, and resistance. To date, no monograph has been devoted solely to Evelyne Trouillot. I want to change that, and in so doing, demonstrate how her works offer a new and necessary telling of Haiti and its history that prompts readers to question their perception not only of the country, but of those who live there. Thank you.
The Jared, Jason, Allison combos, classic. If I were to ask you, I should introduce myself, sorry. My name is Allison Simler-Williamson. I'm in the Department of Biological Sciences, and I'm going to be speaking today about pandemics. If I were to ask you, how has an infectious disease changed the world around you, just take a moment to think about the first thing that comes to mind. My guess is that your first thoughts are justifiably about COVID-19. How could they not be? It impacted our loved ones, how we interact with other people. It altered our economy, our schools, our jobs, our healthcare system. But I doubt that any of you thought about a plant pandemic. But just like COVID, human activities have caused new plant pandemics to emerge all around us, and this is my research. These pandemics are caused in forests and shrublands by the human movement of pathogens all around the globe, or by shifting climate conditions that foster new kinds of infections. And these plant diseases have transformed systems around you in equally big ways, although much more silently. For example, if you walked through a forest on a hike this summer, you may have walked right through a system that's experiencing its own version of a pandemic. Novel diseases are rapidly removing these amazing centuries-old trees across the United States from forests. So an emerging disease may have changed something really small, like whether or not you felt warm on your hike or what wildflowers you saw. But it will also have changed all around you really big stuff. How much carbon those trees were sequestering all around you, and how much water their roots were taking up. The dead trees created by disease are fuels that will alter next year's fire risk. The gaps left in that forest will accumulate snow differently this winter. It will change how avalanches could form and how quickly that snow is going to melt into a river next summer. Like COVID, plant pathogens can touch every part of a system, except these are diseases of the carbon cycle, of the water cycle, of wildfires. And another thing we all experienced firsthand from COVID is that understanding new pathogens and how they interact with hosts in real time is complicated. It's a moving target, which is why in my research, I try to integrate as many different lines of evidence as possible. I work with DNA and with microbes in individual petri dishes to know how pathogens travel, how they infect hosts. I collect data in disease-impacted forests to understand the ecological values that we're losing as those trees die. And then I use those real data sets to build epidemiological models, just like the ones that told us how to flatten COVID's curve, except these project the real-time impacts of plant disease, but also on decades-long timescales that reflect these ancient trees' lifespans. Because for me, diseases have always been about this dichotomy of scales. Invisible microbes can just as easily fell a social structure as they can a forest canopy. And my work at Boise State feels urgent because the patients that I'm thinking about are redwood trees and sagebrush shrubs. They can't mask, they can't socially distance, at least not without our help. So I'm in a race to understand how these pandemics are transforming ecosystems before we lose those systems altogether. Thank you.
That was amazing. Birds are amazing, and you are amazing. It was inspirational. Thank you so much. One more round of applause for